In this episode, we're tightening our belt, cooling off, and breathing a little easier. Let's go. In our last episode, we strengthened up the engine bay, installed our differential, checked out the transmission, and then installed a low-profile oil pan. Now it's time to keep pushing ahead and chipping away at our task list. Let's get to work. A shiny new engine is pretty useless if you can't keep it cool. To take care of this important job, I picked up the V8 Roadsters LS3 cooling system. It's designed specifically for LS Miata conversions and includes the required steam port for LS engines. It uses a fluidine, slimline core, which maximizes coolant capacity while remaining thin. The setup also includes a 16-inch Spal curved blade cooling fan to keep temps under control. While the radiator is made for a V8 Miata, we still have to make a couple small modifications to accommodate it. The main task is to unbolt and move this lower radiator support forward. We'll clean up the cuts, set the final position for these, and weld them in place a little later on. Alright, let's order some parts. You know, I enjoy the Summit website and app, but nothing brings me joy like seeing that Summit Racing catalog when I open up my mailbox. Speaking of that, look what I found recently. Seeing this makes me wonder how many hours I've spent in my life flipping through these pages, coming up with different builds and combinations. I remember thinking as a kid, you could build anything with this book. Hey, and I wonder if this outfit is still available. Nice. You've already heard me sing the praises of the LS engine. It's lightweight, compact in size, powerful, efficient, and so on. Another giant advantage of using an LS engine for a project like this is the excellent, affordable OEM quality solutions to complex problems. Ever try to piece together your own engine accessories and serpentine belt drive system? It can be a complicated, frustrating, and costly experience. Say you do get it all sorted out, don't forget that it all has to fit well within the confines of your engine bay, and the hood has to shut. Well, Chevrolet Performance has got your back. This is the CTSV accessory drive system with air conditioning. Yes, these are the exact pieces used on the assembly line for the world-beating Cadillac CTSV. The kit includes everything needed to install a complete and compact drive kit for your LS engine. In the box, you'll find the air conditioning compressor, power steering pump and reservoir, the alternator, these strong aluminum mounting brackets, drive belts, idler pulleys, wonderfully organized and labeled hardware, and excellent instructions. Alright, let's bolt it on. We start with the AC bracket and compressor. Then this tensioner pulley gets bolted up, followed by the AC belt. This kit is easy to install and the instructions walk you through every step. You'll know which fasteners to use and the torque specs for each one. Next up is the power steering pump bracket and reservoir assembly. Then the power steering pump is bolted in place. Now we bolt the alternator bracket on, and then mount the idler pulley. Next comes the alternator. The final step is mounting this belt tensioner. With that on, we put the serpentine belt in place and let the tensioner do its thing.
It's magnificent. It's like Chevrolet, it's like they partnered up with IKEA and Lego and just made the ultimate bolt-on belt drive system. It is so superb. Just look at it. Good job, Chevrolet Performance. This is fantastic.
I just can't rave about this enough. The best thing about this system is that the quality and fit is so good that its reliability will never even cross your mind. It's completely sorted, which allows you to focus on more complex areas of your build. While we're in there, it's a good time to adapt our GM power steering pump to work with our Miata steering rack. We start by removing this factory-installed fitting. Flying Miata makes this handy kit that includes the fitting and lines needed to connect our GM pump to our Mazda steering rack. It also includes the clamps and proper rubber hose for the low-pressure side, which isn't shown here. Installing these parts is easy. We just thread this adapter into the GM pump, and then the other adapter into our steering rack. We'll complete this job later on when the engine is mounted in the car for good. Oh, and you know I couldn't let this steering rack stay dirty for too long. Next, I picked up this AC Delco starter, which is made for a C6 Corvette. This starter is more compact than other GM LS starters, making it a good choice for our tight engine bay. I also picked up this starter heat shield from Thermotech to protect it from hot exhaust pipes that will run nearby. The starter is simple to install. 2 bolts and it's on. The starter heat shield will need trimming later on, so I'll do that when we get closer to sorting out our exhaust routing. In the last episode, we installed our new oil pan, so now it's time to reinstall our V8 Roadster subframe and bolt it in place. To protect our polyurethane motor mounts, I picked up these heat shields from Flying Miata. They slide right in before bolting down the motor mounts for good. In the first Project Thunderbolt video, I told you about the impact that this picture had on me. It basically moved me from the thinking about it stage to the definitely doing it stage. I just love the clean factory installed look, and the LS7 Z06 air intake that Flying Miata included as part of their LS swap was a big part of that. It's a great performer too, as it'll provide all the cool fresh air that our LS3 525 will ever need. This is the Flying Miata Cold Air Intake Kit. This comprehensive kit includes every single part needed to do the job, right down to the nuts, bolts, and washers. You gotta love that. The kit includes the LS7 intake assembly, accordion hose that connects to the throttle body, free-flowing Corvette ZR1 air filter and retainer, an air deflector to keep the mass airflow sensor readings under control, this weld-in bumper brace, aero catch hood latches, these hood struts, all of the hardware needed, and clear step-by-step instructions. Let's get started. Once all of the careful measurements are made, we get to cutting. First up is this notch in the core support that gives clearance for the intake. With that out of the way, we make one more small cut right here. Okay, so that was more than a small cut, but in its place we'll weld in this thick brace that Flying Miata supplies with their kit. Hey, that's looking pretty good. We'll come back to this job a little later on. Our next job involves mounting a new gas pedal to our car. Why a new gas pedal? Well, our LS3 uses a drive-by-wire throttle, which instead of a typical cable-operated throttle like our Miata used to have, uses a gas pedal with a sensor in it that then opens the throttle, which is controlled by an electric motor. This gas pedal assembly is included in the Chevrolet Performance LS3 525 engine controller kit that I picked up from Summit Racing. This is yet another comprehensive and extremely high-quality kit that is an excellent solution to a complicated problem, adapting a modern engine into a different chassis. We'll take a closer look at this setup when we tackle our wiring, but for now we'll focus on the gas pedal install. You need a good solid install here, as you don't want your gas pedal flying off as you're going down the highway. So I'm going to mount it to our existing Miata's gas pedal assembly. Doing this required a few rounds of cutting, test fitting, more cutting, and more test fitting.
It hurts. I'm getting too over this. There we go. Whew.
With all of that done, we can test it out.
Now let's try out our new drive-by-wire gas pedal mount. Now during this process, you want to make sure that you have plenty of travel. You know, the distance to the brake pedal and to the tunnel is good. Your foot isn't hanging up on anything. But I think the most important part of the process is that you make engine sounds.
Alright, that went well, so now we weld it up for good and put it away until we need it later on. With any engine swap, you need a good set of headers that fit the engine's new chassis. There's always a little compromise when jamming a big engine into a little car, and the headers usually have to conform to the space available. But the good news is that there are a few good options for V8 Miata builders. I chose these shorty headers from Sanderson. They're made specifically for LS Miata swaps and have a thick and good-looking ceramic coating. Hey everyone, this is Tom coming to you from the future.
The future!
I like saying that. After test fitting these out months later, there was a little too much interference with the steering shaft and some other areas. This is most likely my fault, as I asked Sanderson to make them in a larger diameter tubing than they normally do, so I changed course and chose these headers from Flying Miata instead. Flying Miata's headers are designed to fit perfectly, offer maximum clearance, and are made of stainless steel. Oh, and they come with a lifetime warranty. The outlets are 2.5 inches, and we'll either use a slip fit or V-band connection on these. Okay, back to the present day where I continue bolting on the headers that I ultimately didn't use. You know, this is all part of the process when tackling most any involved car project. You have to expect small setbacks here and there, and make sure they don't throw you off track. Thank you for watching, and be sure to visit summitracing.com. They have graciously helped make this series possible, so when you place your next order, tell them Tom sent you. In the next episode, the modifications continue at a pretty good pace, and more cool stuff arrives. For more pictures and details on this build, check out my website, v8mazda.com. So with that said, thanks again folks, we'll see you next time.